Welcome to the 10th episode of the Sabya Khan Show. Red coin is good coin and the Avax ecosystem is pumping. So today we have an Avax OG and an Avax influencer, Zach, who goes by the name Trading Aloha. Trading Aloha is a former gaming growth marketer at Avalabs and a content creator for Avalanche app. Zach is also the founder of a really hyped Avax project called Dokkaebi and a gamify analyst. So, welcome, Zach. How are you doing today?
Thanks. Yeah, it's great to be here. I'm excited. We're trying to get this to work the last couple of weeks, and my schedule's been wild with moving around the world. So I appreciate making the time and getting me on because I love to talk this stuff. The only clarification would be like I'm not the founder of Dokkaebi. I came on as the
Oh,
marketing community lead guy. There are three founders
oh,
that work it, and they brought me on about a year and a half after they started building it. So it was. I know one of the founders personally, and he's a great guy. But I'm the marketing guy for them.
I'm really sorry. I thought that because it was like when I started following that project, you were like the face of it, right? Like you were talking about Dokkaebi like everywhere. And
Yep.
of course, like it makes sense. You were doing like a lot of marketing for Dokkaebi. So congratulations, like huge congratulations. It was such a it was such a grand success. It minted out in 2 minutes, like less than 2 minutes. Yeah, you gave me a whitelist and it has like three spots. So
Yep.
like the wallet I was connected, I was not aware. It just had six Avax, so I could only mint one. I was like, till I was like bridging funds, it was over.
Oh
So
no. Yeah, it went faster than I anticipated, honestly. Like when I started joining, and the reason that I did a lot of like the face work and front part of it was by design mostly because I was a known entity in the Avalanche space. The guys behind as the founders didn't want to dox initially just because they were working on some other things and they had been involved in other projects. And they just wanted to make sure that that there was just one face going out and talking until things got better and they were able to deliver on some of the roadmap items that they're kind of working on. So I did a lot of the push to help them just focus on the art, focus on like building the IP brands behind the scene, and just really I understood their vision from our meetings and knowing them for such a long time. It was kind of easy for me to just jump in and take over on the helm to do all like the go to market push and just talk to the community. But yeah, when I came on, we were joking about like how are we going to do this? How are we going to mint out? Like how are we going to approach the Avalanche ecosystem? And I made the joke to them like, hey, if we do this under 3 minutes, like I want some sort of massive bonus. And they're like, yep, okay. It was a kind of like a never going to happen. And then we watched Steady Mint about 3 weeks before us, and they minted out in under five. I'm like, okay, we're a bigger collection, so it probably takes about the same size. And I was like, I said it in the Discord again. I'm like, we're gonna do it under 3 minutes, right? And then mint day rolled around, and it was just under two. And I was blown away. I thought it was a joke. We'd do it in five,
you
maybe
like
6 minutes.
literally manifested,
I we
the
were all on, the whole team was on voice chat, and they're like, "There's no way. It's at 80%." And I'm like, "It's only a minute." And then it was over. And I was like, "Okay, we did it. All right."
Exactly. Like before like doing this podcast with you, I had a I recorded a podcast with Avery Ballet,
Yep.
who is in the Avalanche team, and we were having a talk before the steady mint. Like the steady mint was like the next day, and then I was also like blown away by the support that Steady got, from people from Avax and also like from other chains, right? And I think Steady is also like kind of uh, it just started like a chain, of like,
Yep.
of course, I remember Dokyo being at I think 10, 7, 8, 4, 5 in October, I think, if I'm
Yep.
not
Mhm.
wrong. Yeah,
Yep.
right. 'Cause it was like the whole Stars Arena fiasco at that time. Because
Yeah.
my first introduction to Avalanche was Stars Arena. So like my friend got me onboarded when the TVL was like less than like 200K. Like I
Oh,
was like
great.
super early. Yeah, and then he was like, "This is like a great product," and I was like, I was a stupid ETH maxi, right? So only eat stuff like a
We
little
all
bit
were at
of
some point.
no more, like no more.
Yeah. We all were there. I was there a long time ago too. We were all were ETH maxis at one point.
Oh, you were an ETH maxi?
Yeah, I started in 2016. doing Ethereum mining, and I was basically all in on Ethereum from 16 to 19 when Vitalik decided that he was going to switch from proof of work to proof of stake, and basically told the miners that, sorry, we don't care about you anymore, and thanks for your
Yeah.
service, but you're out. So, and that's when I started looking elsewhere, and that my journey brought me to a couple of chains, and then I kind of found a home on Avalanche. But at the same time, like every chain has its use and use case and utility, but I've found a home where I like on Avalanche. So that's where I ended up staying.
So, like, for how long have you been like in the Avax ecosystem?
I think I started really getting involved in mid 2020, I believe. It may have been late 2020.
Wow,
So
that was
it's been
early.
about, yeah, been about 3.5, 4 years now. It's been ups and downs, but I like the tech, I like the team, and I just kind of entrenched myself in the community from day one. So that's kind of where my flag plants. But I'm also involved in a lot of like Sol and Ethereum projects, and some on Polygon. But most of my activity, social and trading volumes, all on Avalanche.
Nice. You have successfully delivered Dokkaebi, right? How does that work? Like, how do you actually successfully like launch an NFT project, and that too on Avax? Because Avax NFTs like are a thing now. Like, the hype is building. Good projects are coming out. They're minting out. A lot of like new people are flooding in, right, in the Avax ecosystem. And so how do you actually build something in the NFT area, but on the Avax chain?
Yeah, so I think it was an interesting journey because it all kind of started with starsarena, right? So Avax was kind of doing its thing, and there were projects launching throughout the bear market. They were getting traction from like the OG members and the people that stuck around through it all. But there really was no new members coming from other chains. There was no major onboarding until like socialfi happened and starsarena became a thing. And then we saw a lot of liquidity coming in from other chains. And I think it was going to be a great like jump off point for Avalanche to really put themselves back on the map. Then unfortunately the exploit thing happened, and then like anything that you could possibly do wrong as a team happened, and they just kept taking the wrong turn, even though people were telling them to go the other way. So that kind of put a stop on a lot of stuff going on Avalanche, but it did bring a lot of new eyes and a lot of new awareness, and I think the Ava Labs team did a really good job with that, partnering with Brando and helping Dokkaebi come to market. And that brought a lot of liquidity from Sol and from Ethereum to like come into the ecosystem and start poking around. So when Dokkaebi was successful, it kind of opened the doors for other projects to start looking at, okay, maybe we do launch an Avalanche, maybe we do like look for an alternative to ETH or Sol. And so projects started talking, and hats off to Dominic Carbonero, who basically is the head of arts and culture and NFTs at Ava Labs, and partnering with Brian from Hyperspace and really building an incentive program along with the Ava Sans program that was bringing in like mentors from major NFT projects on Ethereum and Sol, and providing guidance to up and coming artists and up and coming developers on how to create an NFT project and how to bring it to market. And all those things combined is kind of where we're at today. We saw like the Hyperspace incentive program that really spurred a lot of trading and a lot of liquidity. But at the same time, as an NFT project, you have to have like goals and a vision and a plan, and be able to communicate that to the community, because everyone's been rugged, everyone's experienced like the money just being taken out from underneath you, and it's never fun. And I feel like I've experienced that in all chains, but I feel like the Avalanche ecosystem has a really big PTSD from NFT projects that came and then disappeared. And people are very questioning of new projects launching on the chain, and they should be. I think we're no longer in 2020, 2021, where you can just pop up a generative collection and do 10,000 and disappear and no one expects anything. You have this grandiose white paper that promises like swimming pools and all sorts of metaverse experiences that are never going to be delivered, but you just believe because it sounds cool. And it's something that you can talk about on social media that helps hype your project. And I think we're past that point now, and people understand realistic expectations. And they expect, if you say you're going to deliver utility, that they want to know how you're going to do it and what the time frame is. So we took all that to when I started talking to Dokkaebi, and how are we going to do this and how are we going to get the community on board? And it was a couple of steps. First was reaching out to the Avalanche communities that already existed and talking to the founders, talking to the community members, and be like, hey, we're launching this project. Like, here's a brief idea of what the kind of the goals are and where we're going. without really diving into like exact details of deliverables, because the team is building and wants to over deliver. They don't want to hype this thing up and then not be able to, produce on their vision. And honestly, I thought it was going to be more PvP type. We don't want to give you anything that's from the community because we don't want the liquidity or our holders to go to a different project. But honestly, it was the complete opposite. And throughout November, it was nothing but support from like all the Avalanche communities that I reached out to, had calls with the founders. And I think to launch a successful project, to go back to the original question, is like you have to be relatable and put yourself out there to talk to people in the community and be transparent, and be genuine, because people can tell when you're not being genuine and you're not being transparent. And it's easy because it's the same like script that everyone always says when you're trying to pump an NFT project, and nobody wants to be a part of that unless they're in it for a quick flip, because there are people out there that do it. I'm guilty of it myself, so I can't complain. I'm a degen just like everybody else. But if from an investment standpoint, like you want to create a product that people believe in, even outside of Web3, because Web3 is just a small audience in the general grand scheme of things, especially if you're talking IP and building things outside of it. You need to get Web3 onboarded, but you also need to have a vision to how to get to Web2, similar to how like Pudgy Penguins is doing it. But you also have to be
Pudgy
transparent.
Penguins is like nobody like thought that Pudgy Penguins is gonna be the project like which
Yeah,
kind of rallies everything.
no, exactly. And that was one of the inspirations from the team too. It's like, how did Pudgy Penguins do it? How do they do it right? Like, is there any way we can improve upon things that they did? Because there was a lot of flack when it first came out of like things that happened in the background. And how can we be more transparent and make sure that doesn't happen? Because it still ended up on a good note for them, I think. But they had to go through about a week's worth of drama and FUD to get there. So it was a whole lot of like strategic planning and making sure the team's vision was aligned, and communicating that not only to the communities around us, but also to the community members.
So for Dokkaebi, right, it's based on the Korean culture, and like the main tagline is like embrace the chaos, and then just bringing culture like into Web3. So like what are the like what is, of course, like the project has been minted out. That's like the first, like that's like the initial part of launching an NFT project. And then like what's next for Dokkaebi? Like what are we
Yep.
looking at?
Yeah, so we've had this conversation a few times, and we've had it in public as well on the Discord, because people are always like, when this, when that, and it's with the same messaging. Like long-term vision is always most important. Floor price is going to do what floor price does based on market reactions. But for the Dokkaebi, like main purpose for the next couple of months here is the plan is to continue to use the combination of social media, merchandising, marketing strategies, and really just focus on building that key brand in Korea. We've onboarded 2 additional moderators and team members that are from Korea, that speak Korean, that are going to help kind of make that messaging and IP use come to fruition. And there's a lot of talk of partners and collabs in the back end that we're still working on, and almost closing on a couple of things that are going to be kind of exciting, that I'm looking forward to finally being able to announce. Because overall, like the Dokkaebi character itself is extremely popular, has a proven symbol in Korean culture. So it presents like a bunch of opportunities for different IP development. And I think the team is really focused on how do we leverage those strategies to remain deeply immersed within like Korean pop culture, but also like Web2 media at large.
Nice. So like can we get a little bit of sneak peek of what like just a small thing, of what like the Kaiwi is like looking at? Because I love the art. Of course, like the selling point I think for Dokkaebi is the cool art. The art is kind of very different system that the art is like it has that particular, how do you call it, there's this vibe for the avalanche NFTs, right? And I
Yep.
think that kind of is with every blockchain. Like you can, like Solana has like a very different sort of an art. So yeah, if anything, like you can give us any update, or like this is like almost like coming, like it's kind of sure that this is gonna come, not like a major thing, just something minor.
Yeah, I mean, from the IP standpoint, there are still some things that are in development that I have not been privileged to be able to talk about yet, because they don't want me to say anything that might fall through last minute. But there's already partnerships with Ludify that we're kind of developing that are going to help push that project, where you can get certain items in the Ludify boxes that are coming. There's also an Algo X announcement that we're going to airdrop to some of the holders as well. That snapshot is coming soon. Might be over by the time this comes out, but that's on the horizon in the near term. And then there's the ongoing talks with some IP Web2 brands in Korea that may or may not come to fruition. They may develop into something, may not. That's on the team to make happen. And as soon as they do, like that, we're going to make that announcement and be as transparent as possible.
Awesome. I'm gonna pick up like one or two more Dokkaebis because yeah, I want to get something
Like
because
it.
Ludify is also like a hype project. People are talking about it. So yeah, if it has like a relation with like owning Dokkaebi NFTs, I think it's a good buy. Also, when I was talking to Avery, we were talking about the whole Stars Arena fiasco, right? And we were like reminiscing of what happened, and then now Stars Arena is back. Like
Yep. Yeah.
this, Jason is doing like an amazing. He's
Yes.
he's actually taking the arena forward, right?
Yes.
And he's handling everything in a very professional way. And I'm very surprised that Stars Arena is back because they messed up big time. But then now, I just feel that so like, what are your thoughts on socialfi as a trend? Of course, like you can buy tickets and flip tickets. That's of course the degen thing to do, and that's why the money will come in. But then, if you really want to build a brand on Stars Arena, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, no, I lived the Stars Arena from day one, and it was what a roller coaster. I was actually on every space possible during the first like 4 weeks of spaces and or first 4 weeks of Stars Arena. And oh man, I went to go eat dinner and I came back and I jumped on a space and we were talking as the exploit happened. So we got to live that live on
Oh
spaces.
wow.
And I staked a lot of brand and reputation on like pumping it and making sure it was good and getting the awareness out there because we were trying to compete, with Friend Tech and all the other socialfi platforms that were coming up. And honestly, from a usability and feature standpoint, even though there was lots of issues with the platform at the time, it had like the most features as far as posting and chatting and rooms.
I was doing Stars Arena spaces in Hindi, like my native language, and trying to like onboard Indians. It was such a fun time.
It was until it wasn't. And then it was bad. And then it kept getting worse. And then it kept getting worse and worse. And then Jason took over and it took a lot to undo a lot of the issues that were there. And I think we're finally starting to see the fruition that Jason and team has really done to make it a usable platform, adding the features that people have requested and then shoring up the exploit and vulnerability issues. And I think now we're just starting to see, the platform come back usable and people actually start kind of filtering back in over the last like 72 hours, really. I think we've seen a large influx of users and the TVL's gone up and new accounts are joining. And I think now is the time to capitalize that from a brand standpoint to get yourself off of X where you're really kind of singled into a certain lane where you can say some things and you can't say some things. You can't link off the platform unless you want to get destroyed by the algo. You can't mention other social media platforms or you're
Do you
basically shadowed.
remember NFT God?
Yeah,
Like he was going crazy on Stars Arena.
he
Like he was
was.
like, I can say fuck
Yep, he
on
was
Stars.
exactly. It's all those things where you can be yourself and not have to worry about walking on eggshells around an algorithm that changes every other day. So and a lot of that was being held back by the lack of video and the lack of some of the features, but they've added all that now. And I think now is the time to capitalize on that, especially if you're looking to establish yourself as a new influencer or as a new brand, or just look at opening up to a different channel of people that aren't on X or Instagram or Facebook because it doesn't cost anything to have an arena account, and that's the best part. Like you can come in and just start posting and potentially getting people to buy your tickets and earning passive income on the side while you also grow your brand. And I think a prime example of that, and one of the early supporters of the arena, was Almost Owen, who's a musician who made a song about the arena and has really been religiously using it since inception, and he has never stopped, and he's still kind of crushing it on the arena since it came back. And that kind of conviction and is exactly what content creation is all about as far as he's concerned. He uses other platforms, but he's also leveraging I keep saying Stars Arena. He keeps leveraging the arena because it's now rebranded as like one of the best places to be as far as being able to like be himself and produce his content, and then have his ticket holders be able to interact with him and request songs and have him do whatever he needs to do to help push his brand further.
Yeah, exactly. Like almost Owen kind of like banked on this opportunity. Like I also remember like a lot of OG people, and they like have the OG batches now. Art Wolfie like pushing the
Yep.
art. She is like the go-to person for the art
Yes.
thing now. A lot of meme makers and alpha callers like latency. I met a lot of people who were in the Avax ecosystem through the arena.
Yep.
So that's how I like started following like a bunch of Avax people. But then I still faded like Avax NFTs because my friend like told me like, oh, this project looks cool. He was talking about Dokyo, then he was talking about Dogerino, and I kind of faded like everything, which. And then he told me about the hyperspace like rewards and stuff like that. He's like, you can buy and then you can sell and then you can like farm points, and they're actually gonna like fund like they're gonna provide liquidity in the whole Avax ecosystem. But
Yep.
then I faded it just because I did not know how to use hyperspace. Like how stupid is that? Because it's exactly like how OpenSea is. Like you just go and you connect your wallet and then you buy and then you list. But then just because the interface is different, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and then I was not even like I didn't even know how to like buy Avax, like not through like Binance. Like I know how to buy and do that, but then converted like because
Yeah.
but then when I got onboarded on the arena, I learned so much about the whole ecosystem, about subnets and stuff like that. And since then, I've been like researching about the whole blockchain. The major thing that we saw was gaming, and of course, like you have like I saw a lot of your like other podcasts, and you also did a podcast with Yellow Panther.
Yep.
He's big in gaming, right?
Huge,
Uh,
huge.
yeah, and then you also did a podcast with like Dragon Crypto Gaming, and you were like
Yep.
talking, and you told that you also have been a gamer, and then you were helping, you formally Avalabs as a game growth marketer. So tell us more about that. Like, uh, I'm not a gamer,
Sure.
right? I'm purely like a degen, a person who writes, reads, and then like do podcasts. So how can I enter gaming, especially on Avalanche? Like, how do I do that?
Yeah, so there's a couple different ways. I mean, if you're not a gamer, there's still the getting involved in the speculation side, which I think is still huge, and it's early on, and we're seeing a lot of those early gaming tokens that have been in development for the past 24 months or so start to get traction. And I think there's a lot of time there because the games still aren't out. A lot of them take 3 to 5 years to make a AAA type game that would be the same as a Web 2 standard. So we're still in like the year 3, year 4 cycle of a lot of those games that started during the last bull run, continued building during the bear. Some have launched tokens recently, some are planning on it in the future. And I think, as things start coming more playable on alpha and beta releases, those tokens have the potential to go much higher and as people jump in and speculate. But I mean, there's a bunch of different case studies. Like you've got long-term projects like DeFi Kingdoms who have been around for a long time that launched on Harmony, came over to Avalanche, and then kind of expanded to other chains. And they kind of built on the GameFi / DeFi side of the house to maintain, volume as well as ensuring the community was always involved. And I think they did a great job and are still doing a great job as one of like the founding GameFi members within Avalanche. And then you've got games like Shrapnel, who are going to be one of the first first person shooter AAA games to come out that have relied heavily on making sure both investors and community members and gamers are actively involved in the game creation process as far as play tests and feedback, and making sure that they're able to play. They're not keeping it closed to people who have to pay an exorbitant amount of money to have an operator NFT. And if you didn't have a chance to do that, then they dropped extraction packs all over like every space possible over the past couple of months to make sure that anyone who wants to try the game can, but at the same time that they laid out their plans on how they're going to keep the user generated content going and rewarding not both players, but even if you're not a player and you like to make maps or skins, like how you could potentially earn shrapnel tokens from that. And then outside of that, there's the token itself, which of course, if the game takes off, the token will probably continue to rise. So that invites people that just want to degen on the speculation side, um, can get involved that way. So tons of different avenues to go. It just depends on what your appetite is for how much time you have to get into gaming, or if you just want to buy and hold the tokens.
So I think you're like the right person to kind of ask this, like, because you have like you were working in this, you have been working in this area of NFTs. So how big is the NFT gaming market, like in terms of numbers? So of course, like we have people like proper professional gamers coming from Web 2, but then what's like the number in the NFT community? Like, because like a lot of gaming projects are coming, a lot,
Yep.
and especially like Avax is doing like a great job in like onboarding these games, because I don't know like who said this, but then somebody said that gaming is not happening on ETH, right?
Yeah.
ETH is an expensive blockchain. It just cannot happen. It has to be like fast and stuff like that. So it's like Avalanche may be the answer, like for the gaming in Web 3. So like, what are the numbers? You think a lot of these games are gonna like do good? We keep like seeing like gaming's like the new meta in the NFT space. Is that happening, or like what's your take on that?
Yeah, so I think it's tough because a lot of people aren't as exposed to the development process on Web 2 as they are on Web 3. And most games in Web 2 fail before they even reach production, or they reach production and no one ever plays them. And I think we don't see a lot of that as consumers because we're all talking about the Web 2 games we love to play. And the ones that don't make it, don't make it. And there's no real hype for them because there's no NFTs, there's no token, there's no real reason for people to be excited about it. Unfortunately, in Web 3, you're doing all that building in public, and you're kind of doing it in reverse, where you're raising funds pre-game, and then you got to wait 3 to 5 years for the game to become playable. And during that time, anything can happen in the macro environment, and regulation can kill everything. The bear market
And
comes, teams go
three
bankrupt.
to 5 years in NFT is like 40 years in
Right. And a lot of these
like in
people,
real life.
yeah, and a lot of these projects that they don't have experience in that type of ecosystem. They're either game developers, maybe they come from the gaming industry, but they don't really understand like Web 3, and even some founders may not even come from either of those, and they don't know how to do asset management, and they don't handle the treasury right. And we saw a lot of teams go under because they did or did not swap out from their Ethereum or Avax sale into USDC, and then ran out of runway, so they couldn't finish building the game. So on a number standpoint, it's tough to say because the amount of active playable games is so low right now. But to say that there are a lot of games coming in probably Q2, Q3 of this year that have been in development for 3 to 4 years that I think have the potential to onboard a lot of people both from Web 3 and Web 2. It's just tough on a transaction standpoint because there's so many ways to manipulate, wallets and active users, and it's hard to get a firm count on exactly how many people are active in the gaming community. But I think there in itself is the primary issue that they're going to run into is the talk has always been, okay, we got to get these games to market. Well, now they're coming. How is user acquisition work, and how are we going to convert, potential Web 2 gamers to Web 3? And I think that's the part that hasn't been solved yet. And a lot of it was due to issues because we didn't know, there wasn't really good frameworks in place for fiat onboarding and wallet integration, making sure it was seamless, where you don't have to create, because no one's going to want to go through all that process to play a game. They're just going to want to log in and play. They're not going to want to deal with seed phrases and losing access and hacks and exploits. So a lot of tools and great teams have come up with some awesome solutions to that. And I think as we see these games start to launch in Q2, Q3, Q4 this year, integrating some of those solutions, I think we'll get a clear number of how successful these projects will be. But my expectations are high based on, the interactions I've had with the teams prior, while I was working at Ava Labs. But to your point, like Avalanche definitely a front runner in my mind for the gaming chain. Like I've played the games on Ethereum. It's scalability and fees. Like I was a big fan of when Rec League was starting to come out, from that Yuga Labs was like sponsoring or partly advertising, and it was just a nightmare. Like to get the crate, to open it, to build my mechs, I paid like $260 worth of ETH, and I was like, well, why? I already paid for the box. Now I got to waste another $300 to open it, and it was frustrating. I was very very upset. And I posted it on social media, and I was like, all right, this is not the way to go. And I think teams that choose to launch on Ethereum, in my mind, is a visible cash grab, because there's no way the game is sustainable and scalable if they're going to do any of the activities on chain. But to say that, you can definitely do NFT sales on Ethereum and have the game housed on a different chain. I think that's totally feasible, and Shrapnel is evident of that, having done their operator mint back in May of 2022 on Ethereum, but the game is going to be powered and the chain is going to be, or the token is going to be all run on a subnet on Avalanche.
I think they're like very smart because they like are choosing to have their own subnet for
Yep.
the game. Yeah, I think that's like the right way to go. And the way you said that, of course, people can like collaborate, do an omni chain or like a collaborative gaming experience, because like a lot of good games have been like launched on Avalanche, Shrapnel, Bloodloop, as you said, Defy Kingdoms, and then a lot of new games also coming. MetaDOS,
Yep.
Domi Online, I've written all of this, Fable Born.
Yep.
So, which project are you like? Gaming project are you like? You have high hopes for? Like you think this is a project you should pursue and try and get in their ecosystem.
Yeah, for me, I've always been a Shrapnel fan from day one, even before I was really on the Ava Labs team or really in the gaming space. Like when they came out with their roadmap and their idea and their sale on ETH, like I've been a fan. Had a chance to actually play test the game a couple weeks ago, and it's got a ways to go. It is still a beta and it's still in work, and the team's taking feedback. But I think as they implement that towards early release towards the end of this month or next month, I think you're going to see continued improvement there. And I think they have an awesome roadmap as far as the game goes and as far as user generated content goes to keep everybody involved. Outside of that, I think Off the Grid and Gunzilla is another great one. The team is huge. They've got some really exciting guys. Neil Blomkamp from District 13 is on their team as well. And I've seen the game and had a chance to play test that as well as like a third person shooter. And I think that's my genre and I love it. So I'm kind of drawn to those games. But outside of that, I think if you look to teams like Merit Circle, who runs the Beam subnet on Avalanche, who came over from Ethereum, is still doing their token migration, and they've done a lot as far as gaming goes with onboarding a lot of smaller games that don't have the team or the time to like market and do a lot of the things that need to do on the admin side. Like they housed them, took them onto the Beam subnet. They're partnering with Immutable to go like cross chain and make sure that it's not just an Avalanche focused initiative, because at the end of the day, the gamer's not going to care what chain it's on as long as the game is playable and fun. Like that's the ultimate goal. And if you win there, then it doesn't matter what chain it's on. And I think the teams that do that and do that well are the ones that are going to succeed.
Exactly. Because users, of course, like why would a user care? Like which they're not chain maxis.
Right.
And I
We
think
can't be.
the whole yeah. Yeah, and also like in the whole NFT ecosystem, like people are like people were maxis for like
Yep.
particular chains, but now like that's changing so rapidly. So like that brings me to the next question. The thing is that people like of course like a community has been set up in like Avalanche, like they're like OGs now, known influencers and stuff like that. So like new people who are entering the ecosystem, like who should they follow? Also because like see in ETH, these days all the whitelists, all the collaborations, they all go to a set guild,
Yep.
collab groups and stuff like that. Individual degens like me, we do not stand a chance. Like of course like here and there you could like win whitelist and like giveaways and stuff like that, but then a lot of but then Avax NFTs, they're not like as matured as ETH NFTs are. They're still building. The like users are still coming in. So, like, what would you suggest? Like, how to find the alpha in the Avax ecosystem, and like how do you like who do you follow? Like who are like some good people in the Avax ecosystem? So yeah, that's
Yep.
particularly my question.
Yeah, no, and I think the one thing that Avalanche does really well is the team members from Ava Labs are so involved in social media and so involved in the community that they're really accessible all the time. And it's a strategy that the team is not only doing on purpose, but they love to do it. So I mean, there are guys out there like Avery, like you said, you had a podcast with him. I mean, he's connected to everyone inside Ava Labs. So if there's a question, he always can answer it. Then there's on the gaming side, you've got Coop, who's always involved in everything gaming, very prominent on social media, responds to everybody. So if there's always a gaming question, he's another one. Copernicus you can reach out to. And then there's, the homegrown OG influencers that have been through it all on Avalanche, and it varies depending on like what kind of questions you have or what kind of tweets you're trying to read. Like there's Justin the photographer, who's always has his takes on things on certain ways. You got almost Owen, who on the music side can tell you what's going on. You've got guys like Stupif, who's the founder of Doggerinos, who's involved in Chat Doge, very active on social media, always gives away lots of stuff. And then you've got, let's see, who else did I mention? Hodel Avax, another member on Ava Labs, who does most of their social media across the NFT side and gaming side as well. And then you've got, developers and builders like Virtual Query, who is always active and telling projects, what should go on, how they should fix it, and just giving general advice, whether they want it or not. And then you've got newer influencers like JPEG's Trader, who has recently come on to the Avax scene, who's doing a lot of giveaways for a lot of like whitelists and making sure that a lot of people are involved and it's not just housed to a certain community. And I think in that aspect, like you could almost be a holder of any project and you're guaranteed to at least get access to the chance to have a whitelist for something. None of the founders that that I've talked to, as far as on the Dokkaebi side, wanted to hold any of those NFTs for certain people. It was like, hey, I'm going to give you 40, like 38 of them have to go to your team, and like you can have one as the founder, and maybe one other person on your team. And they're like, okay, great. And then I'm a degen, I hold all the NFTs. Within a few minutes, I see in the Discord chat, like, here's 38 whitelists for Dokkaebi, like sign up and let's go. So it's just accessible and from every layer, from the general user to Discord to founders to the Ava Labs team. And I think that's one thing that they do really well as far as like communication from top down and down up.
Exactly. Like even the founder, Eamon, he himself kind of like promotes these projects, and they also like congratulated Dokkaebi, right, on their mint
Yep.
out. That was so cool. They also congratulated Steady. They've been supporting the arena, and I
Yep.
think you don't see that either, like on either on Solana or ETH or Cardano. Like you don't see like on these chains. Avax is kind of built very different, and I just
Yep.
said, like Avery said the same thing to me, that people in our labs, like you could just DM them and ask them like, oh, I need help with this,
Yep.
can you help? And they will help, right? They're very accessible. So that's really a cool thing about, and I've experienced the same thing in the whole ecosystem. Like the people they're like ready to help. So also I want to ask, like, the new projects that are coming on Avalanche as NFTs. Uh, I have like gathered few of them. Like Akudo is coming.
Yep.
Barclay is one of the founders, right?
Yep.
So Akudo is coming, and then Mupals is coming. And then this Gobbler's Mint from Gangdao, that's coming, right? And what more?
There's
Uh,
the Nicopolis is coming.
oh yeah, yeah. I wanted a whitelist for that. I've been trying because I saw that people who are like asking on Twitter, like some lucky people are actually getting it. That's very cool to see. So I'm trying my luck there. So like what else, like apart from these projects, like do you have like other like alpha? So like these are like the good projects that you're seeing, and yeah,
Yeah, so I would say, outside of the ones you mentioned, that Ferdy Friends is another big one coming. That's from
yeah.
the Ferdy Flip team that runs like one of the best casinos as far as gaming goes on Avalanche, and has been successful in a lot of things they do. And the team behind it has built tons of tools, from Avalytics, they had Avalytics from the NFT marketplace. Then they had the tool that they built for the arena back in the day, that they also sold to the arena team recently. And then they also took over the Wolfie project, which is the Avalanche mascot. So them kind of coming behind the scenes and building the Furry Friends, I think is going to be a huge success on Avalanche. And then I actually, just before jumping on this call with you, I had a call with the founder of DQN, is another NFT project that's launching on Avalanche through.
Kush, right?
So there's a little bit of alpha there. So I would definitely stay involved with DQN, because I mean, I was blown away
I
with
got
what.
20 spots for my group.
Do you for DQN?
Yeah, I
Oh, that's
did.
awesome. Oh, that's a
So
win.
he's actually, you're talking about Kush, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so Kush, he is actually advising an ETH project
Yeah.
and Metasky, and I am friends, like I'm genuine friends with one of his friends, and then I was in their space, and they were like describing Metasky and everything, and then Kush and I got like I became friends, and so he was like, oh, this is a secret project that I'm working with. We should not have dogs Kush like that, but
I
then
didn't do it. It
but
wasn't
then he
me.
is promoting it, so I'll cut this part out. Then I'll beep the like his
Leave
name.
the name out. Leave the name out. You're
Yeah,
good.
beep the name out. So he's amazing.
Yes.
And I was like, so what I'm trying to do with my friends, we don't have like an alpha group or something like that. It's not formal. It's just like a bunch of friends who kind of share the alpha with each other. So what I'm trying to do is bring other chains to that group, because we have like as a group we have been more of like an eat maxi, and I was like, no, like good things are happening on other chains too. So you need to, and also like we are educating each other on like how to do this and how to do that. So I think that has been amazing. So DQN, I love the art.
Yeah, I
He's a
do
great
too. And
artist.
and and yes, he is. And the lore and the effort and the research he's put behind it, like it's phenomenal. And he showed me some things that it clicked from stuff that I used to love like years ago. And I was like, I'm sold on it already. Like I can't wait. So that, I would say definitely watch out for that one. It's already kind of making hype. I've seen it mentioned a few times in the last couple of days. But I think it's going to be a big one.
Yeah, that's amazing because I got spots for me and my friends. I'm happy about it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And also, like, what are your like favorite meme coins in Avax? Like, I've seen. So first of all, I just want to know like Avalanche is backing Kimbo and COQ, like the Kokinu meme coin. Is
They
it
haven't come out and said that
Kokinu
they
or
are,
Koka?
but they haven't come out and officially said that those are the two they're backing, but their posts on X have basically laid out their guidelines and templates that like they coins they would support, and those are the two that fall into that. So COQ, absolutely, they're definitely. I haven't seen them come out and say Kimbo yet, but it is the only I think the only other meme coin that's on Avalanche, with maybe the exception of Husky, that might fall into that category. But yeah, I hold plenty of all of the above because I'm a DJ and try to get into all of those. But the ones I hold the most of are COQ, Kimbo. I think I hold a few other ones too, Bingo, and some others. But yeah, those are my top three probably.
Like what about balls on you, no chill, gurs?
I have the airdrops from the arena for Gers and No Chill. I think I still hold. I don't think I sold any. Ballsy new. I think I bought when it came out, and I sold Dogs with Crocs. Dogs with Crocs. I'm sorry. I still hold a little bit. I bought some on that on release and sold most, but I still have a little bag. But I try to support most of the launches that make sense and are fair. But it got to the point where so many were launching that they were all getting sniped, and it was becoming just a quick pump and dump. So after the first like 7 or 8 launched, like I've been mostly hands off and just kind of adding to the ones that I think will long term have support.
I haven't like invested in meme coins on Avax. So like, what one meme coin would you like suggest for like me to like put like some money in?
I would say COQ for sure. I mean, that's the one that has the most backing. The team behind it has been around in the Avax ecosystem, running the chicken community since 2020, I think 2021, and they're not going anywhere. So they're for sure going to keep trying to develop it. It's got some sex listings, and I'm sure there's more in the future, but we'll see. They say they're going to run a subnet on it as well, so I don't know what the utility is of that, but it's got potential. I think long term, that's probably where I put most of my capital if I was going to jump into one meme coin.
Yeah, I don't do like well in meme coins because I always get dumped on like,
Always, always.
but
Yeah, I know.
but like I have a friend who makes like bags and meme coins. He's just like good at it. So
Yeah,
yeah, I think we all have
yeah,
like our genres, right? In NFTs.
exactly. Yep. Yeah,
Uh,
I always lose on meme coins as well. I missed the beginning of that one, and I know that a lot of the OG guys on Avalanche made like six figures on getting in early, and that was like right when I was traveling from Hawaii to Japan. I missed the whole launch. I was jet lagged. By the time I realized what was going on, it was already like a couple million market cap. So I bought a bunch, did well, but on the other ones, it's been make a bunch, lose a bunch. So I'm with you on that one.
Yeah. uh like rounding this podcast, I just like want to ask, how do you balance out like your life being so involved in these projects? Because like you're not the founder, but then you are an important part of that team. And then of course like you'll be part of like more teams, you'll be expanding. So how do you like actually balance your work in your life,
Yeah.
being a degen, and then also like just being a degen, of course like it's time taking, but then also like actually building, that takes
Yep.
like a lot of time, like a lot of effort. So how do you like balance it all?
Yeah, I wish I had a good answer for you. I'm still trying to figure that out. So I thought I had a really good workflow and idea, and things were moving well. Like I got to the point where like I started in the community, I built up like a personal brand. I started making GameFi content for Ava Launch and did a lot of their GameFi videos, and then kind of progressed into a full-time role at Ava Labs. And I'm like, all right, I'm where I want to be. This is where like I saw myself getting, and now I'm here, and I just want to help teams be successful. And things were going great until November 5th, and then they weren't. And I was like, okay, now I'm kind of back to square one in Web3. Like, what do I do? Like, I kind of went from where I saw myself, what my passion was, to where I thought my like forever maybe job could be. And now I'm on the outs per se on that industry because it is what it is. The budget's not getting any bigger. So I've been trying to find my niche and try to stay involved in the gaming side, from like doing podcasts and just trying to help projects succeed and help founders succeed and try to leverage some of the marketing techniques and skills that I've learned over the past couple of years. And it's not easy because, I've been moving around at the same time when all that happened. We started traveling, and I had a work schedule all planned out for that, and it kind of all went up in smoke. And so my hours have just been like trying to match to whoever needs support and whoever needs help. So sometimes it's 3, 4 in the morning, sometimes it's the middle of the day, sometimes it's at night. And luckily the family's been super supportive on making it happen, because without it, we wouldn't be able to do what we're doing. And ultimately at the end of the day, like I love Web3 and this is where I want to stay. And I'm trying to find a way to make it happen. So I haven't officially gotten a new full-time role yet. So it has been a challenge trying to figure out what that work-life balance looks like. And I think I'm getting closer to finding that role. But as of right now, it is just 24/7. And it's kind of been that way even the past 5, 6 years. But I had a vision before, and now I've completed that vision and kind of moved on to the next one. And I'm trying to figure out what that long-term vision looks like now.
So you're like entering like a new era for yourself, right?
It's
Yeah.
completely different. I had when I was transitioning out of my last full-time job is when I jumped into Web3 full-time, and I was kind of doing two full-time jobs at the same time for almost 8 months. And then, within a 2 month time frame, both those jobs just ceased to exist. So, and now I've got all this time, and I'm like, I want to work, and so I'm just diving into, jumping on social and seeing what's going
I found
on
your
and trying.
YouTube channel today, like the new
Yeah.
one. I
Oh yeah, it's
subscribe.
it's under development. I'm playing with some tools and just trying to test stuff out. And my buddy is doing a lot of data analysis behind the scenes, and he's like, "You should do this." And I'm like, "All right, let's try it." So really just trying to get more visibility and leverage out from news and what's going on in Web3, just to like push messaging and marketing. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Um, but we'll see.
But also like we need like a lot of new content and like new POVs for people who are actually involved in the NFT ecosystem, right?
Yep.
Just like influencers of like the other influencers who are talking about crypto and stuff like that. They have like a very different point of view. But then when you're like in the trenches, especially in the NFT ecosystem, then the content that you can make is kind of like very different and more holistic. So, yeah, all the best for that. And it has been a great talk. I really loved conversating with you, Zach. And also, I love that you are doxed. Like, I have like a different level of respect for people who are doxed in Web3, and I've been
Yep.
doxed from day one.
Yep.
So, yeah, kudos to that.
You as
And this
well. I
has
mean,
been amazing.
people
Thank you
still
so
don't
much.
want to do it. People don't want to do it, and kudos to you too, because it's tough when you get on the camera and want to start talking to somebody and it's just a blank screen. And it's like, all right. I mean, I get it. It's Web3, but at the same time, it's, it's 2024 now, and there's a level of trust that's required in a lot of these things. So I think it's important, especially when you're trying to deliver a product or even sell anything. Like you've got to be able to trust a person, and seeing a face just helps.
Exactly. Because like I like to buy NFTs from projects like whose team is doxed, or maybe the team is like well known, because that
Yeah.
kind of trust. Yeah, because like I think the way you said that the pump and dump days are over. Like
Yep.
those days are over. People are calling out founders and team members and even degens, influencers that like of course like everybody is here and we know that degens will flip, but then if you are like promising a lot of stuff, like I love that the project Nicopolis, right? That's how you pronounce it, the cat
Yep.
project.
Yep.
They said that they're not coming out with a roadmap and they still have hype, right? So
Yep.
there's a market for everything.
There is, and that's part of being transparent. Like if you're a PFP project and a PFP project alone, just say it. Like don't promise everybody something that you're not going to
Yeah.
deliver. There's good art will sell itself, or fun art, or meme art. Like there's market for everything, like you said. And like if you have a utility, like describe what you're going to build. If you're a PFP project, be a PFP project and be proud of it and rally a community. Like
I
that's
love PFP
perfectly fine.
projects. Like,
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. It's totally fine.
yeah, thank you. It has been amazing.
Yep. Perfect. No, it's awesome. Thank you. Like this has been fantastic. I genuinely love like these types of conversations, like podcasts or not. Like I just love to have them.